stacking out west, cause I'm from where the shit start. Two hands squeezed to the game like the kid is choking Bart. Big backwood, I ain't into really smoking carts. Big step of alien, I feel like Mob Marsh. Out of this world.
Welcome back to another rendition of your favorite podcast, the Enigma podcast, with your boy Open Mike. And you know what it is. Today I got a special guest for you. We got this man who is a poet, a photographer, a prophet, a preacher, a man of anything imagined, anything creation itself. Man. He's been featured in Voyage Dallas magazine.
Truly.
Several different art exhibitions across the DFW.
Truly.
I got the man, the myth, the legend, Nick Gully.
Nice to be here. Thank y'all. I just want to let the viewers know I've been following the team for a moment, and to be here is incredible. Thank you.
Beautiful. I'm glad to have you, brother. Some people don't know that we've done I think that was like 2 hours.
Yes.
Yeah, 2 hour conversation just talking about anything and everything creative. Which is a beautiful thing. I go back and listen to that sometimes. I'm like, damn, the young me was spitting some shit.
Some good stuff in there.
I wasn't even really feeling it at the time, but it was really spitting
There's some good stuff in there.
But I'm glad you got to come out here, man. It was a little trip for you, but I'm glad to have you here, man.
Had to.
To talk about. The thing I was thinking about today to ask you about, because I'm I'm like, what do you mean you saw in your mind? Because like I think about drawing sometimes, and I'm like, how do you think about just how the way the sun's hitting? You got to do so many different things to make that.
That's true.
And then so like for you, whenever you do your painting, even photography, like what is it about like one moment and capturing that one moment like tickles your fancy? Like what about it has made you to lead you here? You know what I'm saying? The artist you are.
I'm not even gonna lie to you. It started with me doing a lot of iPhone photography at first, just because it was kind of like, all right, well, stand still, let me do my thing, and I make quick little edits. And people were like, oh, that's really nice. But I just took it a lot more seriously than people did. And it was unusual. Like, don't move. And they're like, I'm just trying to eat. I'm like, yo, just don't move, though. Just give me a little minute of time. And I bought my first camera, and I realized then I'm meant to do this. Like, I have an eye. And that's when I discovered the fancy, because it was like, okay, it's not just things anybody can see. I'm seeing things nobody's paying attention to in this room. I'm looking at the ceiling, and I'm seeing...
Which is crazy, because like, do you feel like the way that like, so with music, it's so accessible. Like back in the Gap, you used to like call your friends over when a new tape came out. You set it down, we were drinking some whiskeys and listening to it and experiencing it together. Nowadays with Instagram and photography in general, there's so many pictures. So like, do you feel like it's not lost? Because obviously you have that detail,
right?
But like when you thought about it, you were like, oh, I could be different, or like. Because it's not monotonous nowadays, but everybody named Mama take pictures. You know what I'm saying? Not even good pictures. Like they're trying to capture what that moment is. Like, but you in your mind, you see like, what are you seeing? Because I know people do this shit. Like, what, you know what I'm saying? Like this, like certain landscapes. But like I don't know what that means. Like I don't know what you're like. Is it the focus part? Like,
well, when people are using this, it's pretty much composing the four corners of what the borders would be for a photograph. So they're pretty much saying, okay, well, this mountain would be in the third of this, and that's the whole like rule of thirds thing. But like, I go off textbook, and I'm self-taught, so I have an unorthodox way of noticing what's a good photograph before I even take it, before I even put up my camera.
Right, because you haven't been technically taught.
Exactly.
Like by the book to do so.
Exactly. I don't have I went to school and learned that afterwards, but I grew up on just seeing something and kind of already seeing, okay, this should be a long shot. This should be something a little wider. I should step back from here, or I really need to zoom up close. And that's where I kind of see a lot of things on Instagram kind of change how, it doesn't change how I do things, but it changed kind of how I viewed photography. Right. Because I see it as a fine art. You know, I see it as a profession.
Yeah, it is.
I do this shit.
I know from experience, you have that picture of me when I'm outside talking, and you're capturing that moment so perfect, because I'm literally holding court. Like I'm saying what I'm saying, everyone's listening, all ears, I'm making people laughing, like you caught that moment. The best way that I've, besides my marriage photos, my wedding photo, that has captured a moment so vividly. So every time I see it, I'm like, oh, you know what I'm saying? Like, at that time, and I didn't even know we didn't really know each other. That was the first time meeting. Like, bro, can I get a pic of you? Like, but what it did, especially like the way you have your Instagram page, the black and white.
Absolutely.
Like, so for me, when I see it, it had the black and white has such a like noir feel to it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
absolutely.
And what you do with it is, it's just insane, because my mind wouldn't click to be like, oh, this would be a great photo.
Absolutely.
So is it for the photo? Or is it for the sense of like, is it that moment? Because you're capturing the moment with the photo. Like with any photo you ever take, you capturing the moment.
Truly.
And I've seen like for myself, like I've been at Niagara Falls and recorded the water flowing or whatever, but it's not the same.
Nah.
It's not the same. But when a great video, like, cause mine was just on my board. Oh shit! What the fuck? I love it. Yeah, so I'm not like getting in, but whenever it's done that way, it catches it and captures it. So
absolutely,
like, but in a way that no other art form kind of does. True. Like, because a painting can be a series of things. Right. Raps can be a series of things. Any like musical, it can be a series of things. Right. But you're capturing a moment, even when like you're painting something. Like it doesn't. I just never had that eye, so it's interesting. Like you have that, like you just see something, you're like, oh, I know what I can go crazy.
That's it.
Yeah, and it flows over to everything though. Because even when you just pick up a guitar and just create, I'm like, bro, I fucking love this. Bro. There's no thought about it. Bro is just creating. He's a creator. He's in and of itself. He is creation. You know what I'm saying? It's beautiful, bro.
I would say the most thanks besides God I can give, or right underneath that is the self-taughtness. We were talking earlier about kind of like that. Perseverance of hardship, perseverance through hardship, and just being able to create no matter what's going on in your life, no matter if I'm alone, if I'm in the crowd, and stuff.
Yeah, reverted like the from who you are, and then like from me, like we're two different, obviously like different creatives, which is great. But when we had our first talk, the shit that we talked about is deeply profound, and then in a way to where like. Sometimes when people get on podcasts and they start talking profound, it seems head-assed sometimes. Right. This is like, bro, you're only 19. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel that way sometimes. I'm like, bro, you're only 25. Like, a lot of the shit that we learn is regurgitated. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've listened to a lot of pods, obtained a lot of information. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like at times it's regurgitated. Right. Which is fine. You know what I'm saying? It's the learning. That's what it is. You know, it is what it is. But with that talk, it was so. Down to like a human level, you know what I'm saying? Which is to me, I love that shit. Like we were talking about something that everyone can understand, and not coming from a place of like I'm holier than thou because I think this way.
Absolutely.
And what I hold on from that conversation is that you said exploration through expression.
Ooh, that was
you said that, and that shit sticks to me. Like that's right. A lot. We had an abundance of crazy shit that we said, which was which was wild. But like that one sticks to me because like that's what we're talking about. That like that's the point. You know what I'm saying? Is like exploring like who I am and who we are in real life time. Like there's too many. How many times do you hear like of an industry? They just pop up and like this random rapper just pops up and they're just like rich and famous. Like what the fuck? Like, but we're growing with them. Like every time you post a picture, bro, whether you understand it or not, that you influence, like, for me to drop a lot, like, because that was in the thing, like, because the whole point of it is not to do it for people's people recognition. Like some of the craziest photos I see that you have 2 likes. You know what I'm saying? Like have 2 likes. Some of like the shit that I think is my best song has only 50 views in 2 years. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's the reality. But it's growing with that. Like it's cultivating something, and it's like through expressing myself, like exploring myself through expressing, and it's very beautiful. But like so, seeing you do like the painting, you do a lot. You do the painting, you do a lot of art shit that I love. I love the fact that you are so like you're all imaginative. Not only just imaginative, you bring it to life. Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? Like you bring it to life always, because I know the same way. Like my mind is everywhere. I'm having like, oh, what if this happened? Like even while I'm talking, I'm like, what if I would have said this instead? Now this whole thing is playing on this side of my mind while I'm doing something. So it's like hard to make sense of it or whatever, And growing up, I never had I played basketball, I played sports. I didn't do any artistic shit. Like I remember telling my mom that I was gonna go on American Idol for singing because I've always loved music, but the only creative thing was like literally rapping. Like when I think back, besides like basketball and all that shit for an out was just freestyle rapping, having fun, bullshit. Like that was literally the only thing. I've never been able to draw. I've never been able to paint. And so when me and you, every time we talk, I'm like, bro, he is the clear conduit for me to understand these other sides of creating. You know what I'm saying? Of like not just seeing a painting and being like, oh, that's just somebody painted it. Somebody just did this. It's like this.
Boom, done.
Yeah. So I'm like, through you and like different other people who create, I'm seeing in a different way, because obviously we know the Mona Lisa is beautiful. We know that. We everyone's that's not that's a fact.
Yeah, we know.
But someone like you can get more in depth
Absolutely.
of why it's so satisfying to us as humans.
Absolutely.
Like, what is it? The amount of strokes, how long it took, what that person was going through when they did it.
Absolutely.
You know, like, what is it? It's not just painting. And then so seeing you being able to find that in life always and be able to post and post the pictures that you take, but not only pictures, just like being able to pick up an instrument and just sing. I'm like, bro, that's like for me, that's what open mic is. You know what I'm saying? But I'm like, nobody want to hear that shit from me. But when I see you do it, I'm like, I do, because I want to see, like, I'm wanting to see it from you. You know what I'm saying? So like, what is that? So like, you're doing it unapologetic, and I don't even think you know you're doing it.
I don't.
Just how much you're doing and how much you're like in art, like, is inspiring people around you. Even what you said, you was like, I'm not around people like that.
No.
And in the short span that me and you have spent time together,
Truly.
Bro, our first full conversation was on the podcast. We talked for 2 hours.
Without even meeting.
For most people, that's insane.
That's
to even
unreal.
like to have that even like talk to somebody for 2 hours.
Nonstop.
Let alone the shit that we talked about. You know what I'm saying?
Zero editing, nonstop, all the way through.
Man, it doesn't make. It's insane. You know what I'm saying? It's really like that's whatever that is up there. You know what I'm saying? That's the universe, bro. Yeah. So all of that to get to my point. What do you, when you go to shoot shoot a photography, take a photo of something or someone, a moment in time and place, or when you're painting something, or when you just pick up, like, what is that for you? Like, what is that doing on a
creative level?
Yeah. Like, what is that doing for you?
It's all therapy. All of it's therapy. If I'm making a song, I usually secret. I'm about to show you.
Yeah.
Everything I've ever sang or recorded or played has been one take. So as good as it sounds, that's what it was at that time. I end the record. That was it. And I don't really have like verses written down. I don't have a lot of like bars in my phone, so if everything's off the top. So if I'm singing about love and it goes into heartbreak and then it comes back into redemption of, I found her again, but it's not really her, it's a new version of her because we both healed from the pain. It's just one take, like it's freestyle. Painting is the same way, but to answer your question about photography, I would say if I'm on, it really depends on what it is. Because sometimes it's just a job. And somebody doesn't, some people don't really want the fine artist. They kind of want the cameraman. So, all right, sometimes it's like, all right, give you what you need, shake hands, we're out of here. And sometimes it's kind of like, okay, well, if it's my idea, now I get to use you as a vessel. Then it's almost like I'm playing, like, I'm in my head. Now you're joining me in the idea. Okay, I need you like this, face the sun, or I can tell you what to wear so you can look the way I need you to for the setting. I can, like, I can really manipulate and create anything I want. With
so at that time, are you thinking about it?
No.
Or is it just like, are you serving what that is, like, at the time, like, for the sake of the art? Like,
I would say that's a great question, right? I would say I'm probably serving. I'm probably serving and submitting to what I'm being called to do, honestly, because I don't have the ideas written down anywhere. So if me and you went out into a field and I was like, you know what, take the hat off. I kind of want to see what your hair looks like today. And I'm like, you know what, take off the glasses. Or I'm like, you know what, take your shirt off. I'm like, I kind of want something a little more vulnerable in the space where there's no atmosphere. And I want this isolation feeling for the photo. This is all off top. I don't even have the camera on me, but I can kind of plan out what I would want from you in that space. So sometimes it's really just a gig, and other times it's really like, okay, this is my calling. I'm literally just obeying these tools and these materials I'm allowed. Because let's be real, a lot of people don't want to use the time to be a muse for a photographer. Especially in the early stages. It was Krishna that was the only guy that I could have that could really just be there for me. And he would follow me and I'd follow him in the record stores and thrift shops.
And that's a beautiful thing. Like, I don't ever, like, for some reason, like, as a human, like, I think I'm a good looking person, but when a photo is taken of me, like, there's something like I feel weird about it. Like, I'm too analytical of what it is. Like, me and my brother had this joke when we're taking family pictures when they're like, okay, just another one, take another one. Like, he's like, I'm forgetting how to smile. You know what I'm saying? Like, because you're capturing a moment, like, like, the way I said, I'm like, LeBron never looks at the audience and be like, I'm playing basketball.
Right.
He's just playing basketball and it's being captured in a way.
That's right.
So, like, when I think about, like, even with this rap shit, but, like, more on what you're, like, the photography part, like, I think about all the time, like, all the things that people don't know about. How many people that's been on this planet have never seen something.
Absolutely.
But then the one real capturing picture at the very end of a book when they tell you what this whole story is about.
Absolutely.
And it's a dude who's just outside working on his farm and he's just by himself, like with the whole plot of land, everything he's worked for is just a picture of him, a solid picture. And it means a lot. It means so much. But then I think about all the people who have, not even been able to see that.
True.
So it's like, for you, you could be taking a picture, you could find the beauty in something that everyone else think is nothing.
Yeah.
So is that,
absolutely.
So I could tell in you that it's not even an idea. That's not even like, you're just doing it for the sake of just what it is.
Yes.
And that's a very beautiful thing. It's hard to do such, especially like in my space, because hip hop is such a like, I'm the fucking best, grab my nuts, like I'm that motherfucking guy, like I'm the best MC, ain't nobody fucking with me, like, that's that shit that pumps me up just talking about it, because that's what it gives me. It's like, you know what I'm saying, it gives me that shit, like, bro, I'm kicking the door, I'm
gonna write this shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Right
There's like, nah, it's boom, boom.
Yeah.
So there's like a kind of bravado about it. So like what I was telling you out there, I'm like, obviously like, as a technical level, I've been listening to hip hop forever, so I can make a track. Like that's the easy part. Like I hear all these rappers, I'm like, bro, they're just making something that sound. And I could do that. Yeah. That's easy money.
Absolutely.
But like I want to do shit because all the songs that I've listened to that changed me.
Absolutely.
Like I've been driving, I have to pull over because I'm like, yo, what the fuck? But not also being too into that because I like partying, doing all this crazy shit too. I like all that shit too. But just being yourself.
Absolutely.
But in a picture, like that's what I'm like. But that's where we are in this music shit too, is because it's watered down. I watched this video, someone saying is rap dead because there's so much bullshit shit. Like no one's really saying nothing. Yeah, there's just so many because that's just the avenue to get big or whatever.
Absolutely.
And it goes back to what I was saying earlier about like the Instagram, everyone's taking a picture of their food. So like photography, at first, it didn't make any sense. You think about the first part, like when you take a picture, that does not make sense. Same thing when someone wrote something. Like I heard this thing where they said that the Vikings came across in England, whenever they took over England, because they did for a period of time, he goes into the library and he finds all of the king's writings. He said, what is this? Like, he's speaking to me, but he's not here. This is some type of witchcraft.
Damn.
Because you think about it. Like,
there's a message.
Yeah, it's weird, but we're so watered down and we're so used to it that it's on the camera's on everyone's phone.
Truly.
Like, it does, so keeping that, like, for you, so this is less of a question, more of like I see this in you, and then like, but just capturing those moments because it doesn't like, I lose that sometimes, bro. It's like when I'm rapping, I'm like, okay, this I'm not even doing it for me, so what's the point? And I'm in this conundrum, like you were doing it for the sake of being an artist. You know what I'm saying? That's why you do a lot of things.
Absolutely.
So they never like roll over and like spill on top of each other
at all. There's just potency across. This is like lateral expression.
Yeah.
Nothing's above anything. There's no priority. It's just whatever I have my hands on is whatever I'm going to produce. Yeah. And don't get me wrong, like I definitely grab my nuts on these photographers too, because I do this shit.
No, I see your story, fam. That's why I love when you waking up and I see that you've been up since like fucking 3 a.m. just doing shit. You talking that shit like I'm that dude. I'm that
real shit.
That's the shit how you have to look at it, bro.
Real shit.
We are.
People try to play you, and when you're a small photography account and you go hard. And this is where it kind of gets saturated because the people with the 2,500K, 52K followers on Instagram, they're photographers, they're great. But you also have to think about what are they doing to get that.
Right.
It's not just paying for things. It's also kind of like how are they showcasing their art.
Right.
Is it fine art or is it just kind of something more visual? And I had to separate myself. I didn't start with this conscious level of like, okay, there's harmony for all of my art forms or all of my creative ability. It started off with like, oh, you think that's good? You ain't seen me shoot.
Right.
Well, you think this is nice? This is framed? You've never seen me shoot. You don't know what black and white looks like.
Right.
And they didn't. They thought it was a filter.
Yeah.
When they like, there's film, there's black and white film, and I say, you want film or color? I have to choose. Yeah. The camera don't shoot two at the same time. And then I got to choose which roll to put. Right. Like, well, how many on the roll? Like, there's so many things I take seriously about this craft that I'm like, you could never tell me I can't shoot.
No, bro, you're very interesting. Like I saw on one of the Voyage article, you said that like I can't remember, it was like 125 millimeter film. I was like, what is that even like? That's you said I have a passion for it. I'm like, that's even just a passion just for that. Like that's nuts. Like that's but that's the beauty in it because whatever it gives you from, I don't even know what that means. You know what I'm saying in a camera sense. I don't even know like all that shit. But you're capturing like but just the free will like of it. Like, you know what I'm saying? So like. And this goes to this, like you've been in the gallery, you've had exhibitions.
Yes,
so how does that feel to get recognized in that way of where there's masses, people are seeing, you know what I'm saying, like and someone wants you there, you know what I'm saying? It's like how does that feel for something that you don't even plan on being that?
Man, it feels one of those like those black fairy tales, like the ones where it's like the kid that couldn't afford the camera ends up selling art pieces in the gallery.
Yeah.
And that was me. That was literally me. I saved everything up for my Pentax K1000 with zoom and flash, and literally, I'll say a year later, I ended up signing my gallery deal. And I'm sitting here like, what the fuck? She literally, this is when I knew it was real, Mike. This is when I knew it was real. I'm sitting there, and she's interviewing me about, okay, well, tell me about these pieces. And I'm like, girl, I can do this all day. Like, this is what this means, this is what this means. I shot it like this, composed it like this, with this kind of camera, with this kind of, like, I'm in it, right? Then she goes, are you ready to sign? And I said, like, we're done.
Yeah.
Like, I've reached it. This is time to sign the line and have my own space. Fast forward, gallery opens up 2 months later, sold a piece. 40 minutes after it opened. Somebody came and bought it. I'm sitting here like, you can't tell me shit. Now you can't tell me shit.
Yeah,
you can't say that I can't shoot. You can't say that I'm not out here. You can't say that my work don't sell.
Yeah, this is the manifestation.
This is it. Like that was the validation. That was the artistic validation that I needed.
Yeah.
Because we all want to know if our art is consumable.
Right.
We don't really care about the audience because they find us.
Right.
That's their job.
Yeah.
But we want to make sure we're able to produce something that can be consumed as artists, or at least in fine art.
No, 100%.
So when I was able to do that, and I saw the consumers interested in what I was doing, asking me questions and purchasing artwork, and then I was like, okay, well maybe I can sell a painting. Sold paintings, and I'm like, well, damn, am I really him? Like, I really have no limits.
Yeah.
People tell me I have a great voice, I have a great instrumentation, and it's like...
And we made a song together.
So it's like, I really have no reason to doubt myself anymore. I have the artistic validation. I have the profits that came from my fruits.
Yeah.
I've literally grown the tree, cut it, sowed it, made something out of it, and sold that.
And replanted
another. And then again, I'm literally a factory. And that's what we are as artists. We are vessels as wide and as deep as we want to be.
Yeah.
So when I mixed in photography with that, it gets a little competitive with me because there are people who pick up a camera today and are ready to charge you $3K.
Right.
They have zero experience in the film.
Just because it's nice equipment.
Just because of nice equipment, and it's like, let's be honest, are you worth that amount? That's what art, and that's where the art saturation kicks in, the fine art, because it's like, am I paying for something that's worth that amount, or am I paying what you're just wanting for it? Because people want, people are collectors, and I didn't know this until I got in the game. People are collective, so when they buy your piece, they want you to keep producing work, so that shit raises value.
Right.
So if you go crazy in year 2 of your art career, and they bought a piece within the first month,
facts, then
they're gonna keep that shit until you're ancient.
Yeah.
So every photo I take, I bring it all. I don't slack, I don't miss, and I can't miss. And that's another thing I really want to encourage artists. You cannot miss. You are telling yourself that you missed the mark. There is no mark.
It's only you.
You're setting the parameters for the result you want. There is no result. You cannot expect creativity. You cannot put an expectation on creativity. Creativity in itself is an abstract concept formed from you. So if you spill drink on this couch, that's art. You could sell that if you wanted to. You could brand that. You could photograph that. And I've done that. I've sold work. I kid you not. I've sold a print. I went to IKEA. I saw a shadow on a wooden desk. I photographed that, converted it into black and white, blew it up 16 by 28, sold it.
Do you think that since it's not like you, for at least the photography part, like it's you're able to get more thought out, because it's not you, like you're not taking pictures of yourself, so you're not like critiquing yourself, doing all, there's no ego involved with that part, you know what I'm saying? Like I think naturally there's more ego involved when you make music, because you're like in it, the act of itself,
it's
like,
way more personal.
because what's the point of, you know what I mean, like everything, like it's being viewed by viewed, but when you're taking something, it's kind of like what an engineer feels, I feel like, who doesn't rap or nothing, they just make the bitch sound good. That's what I'm saying, like that's what you do, you capture the moment and you make it like really capturing the moment, like truthfully doing that. And especially like, so with the painting, because I've seen the ones that you have. What is the thoughts with this? Like when you're painting, do you do like one swipe and you're like, oh, this one has to go over here, or is it already like full in your mind? All you're doing is copy and pasting in a physical manner, like writing it out. Truthfully,
I never see it. I'm blind when I paint. I I have something I've kind of channeled and kind of used to my advantage, which is the childlike imagination. Because we're still the same people.
Yeah.
We're just grew
Right.
larger.
Yeah.
So I'm using that influence to fuel what this painting is. So I usually start with a line, and whatever that transitions into, I don't control.
Yeah.
I literally submit to whatever direction that this is supposed to be.
That's the beautiful thing. Like all of like my favorite songs that I've made was just like can't make a beat and I'm just gonna write to it. Like when I come in there with a preconceived notion, that's when like the ego sit like trying to when you're trying to do something. Like just let you be you, let you shine through whatever it is.
That's it.
But it's hard because like most people now they want to be a rapper for or like they want to be they want what shit that comes to it. But like there's most people who don't there's so many creative people, the best creative people who don't get heard like that. They don't go through, and they really go through something. There's this poem about this girl who writes songs, but the best songs she writes when she's going through depression, like when she's going through something. Yeah. And once she got better in life, because that's what you want to do as a human. You don't want to stay depressed just because you're making music. You're gonna kill yourself. You know, like we've seen it done before by many artists. So doing that, and then she gets more back into where she's like feeling good about life, and the music doesn't sell. People love when, and it resonates with people when she's sad, depressed, all this shit like that. Yeah. But it hurts the art, you know what I'm saying? Because she's just being who she is in that moment, you know what I'm saying? So you go from being loved for the dark shit that you talk about, from no one listening to for the shit that you are being positive about. Absolutely. So it's like it's a shake to the system, you know what I'm saying? But like, so like, to you, what is that about? Like, and as a human level, like. You know, obviously the best shit comes, like the best movies are coming from something, rising up from something. It's all in that manner. You know what I mean? But like for someone who's an artist out there who feels like that in their way to where, if you feel like the only time you could write something is when you're sad, when you're, drunk, whatever the case may be, just like, follow this guy and use him as a blueprint of just creation, just staying young, because that's what's gonna keep you young forever, bro. And that's what they say. I saw someone say like how to have a good relationship with your kids is like don't forget that you're a kid still. Like don't forget that. Like don't like let life like poison you.
That's a secret of life.
With that being said about like the how hard it is to create in a way like not just to like be heard by others, but like finding that balance where it's about the exploring yourself, the exploration and finding yourself, expressing yourself through that way, and also having the fact that people are listening, so you want to appear to their ears to get the most pure, get it out there everywhere, whatever message you're trying to send. Absolutely. So with how creative you are, you know what I'm saying, and how like creative like we, you know what I'm saying, we are, and like it's just who we are, you know what I'm saying? We're wild, crazy people. Even if we didn't have anything to record ourselves, we would still be doing wild, I'm acting out myself all the time, being dumb with myself, improv with myself, you know what I'm saying? I'm doing weird shit, all that shit. Like, it's us, it's in us, it's who we are. Absolutely. So what message to the people from a creative, like of who you are, just for people to have that license, what advice would you give to them?
I would give you guys watching the advice of remind yourself that you're not too different from your inner child. You might have grown, your interests might have changed, but that thing that still excites you, there's always going to be remnants of that. It might be a sound or a pitch or a tone. And if you can focus on what you hear, you can channel that to your current form, and you can produce the same thing they want to produce at that age, but they lack the resources. Because your inner child didn't have an engineer. Your inner child didn't have an easel. But now that you're able to obtain these things, you're using that same adrenaline, that same fascination and interest, and pouring that into present, which gets you the product.
Yes, sir. That's beautiful, brother. That's a beautiful point to leave us off on, is just never forget who you are at the core of you. Always be always be imaginative, and always create to find you and explore yourself through expression. So with that being said, Nick, it's a pleasure having you, brother. It's always a good time anytime we talk. But most of the talking I think we've had has been on like recorded, which is beautiful, and it's always been dope, man. So it's a blessing every time, of course, brother. And of course, you know what it is. It's ENIGMA Podcast. You go get the merch that we got, man. Go watch all the other podcasts, like, subscribe, and then go check out my music, man. I got some shit coming. I got some, little surgery. I gotta, put it. But it's still working. We still working like a motherfucker. That shit in 2 days, and we still out here doing this shit. You understand? And that's the ENIGMA Podcast. Get the fuck out of here.